What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 10 of the Mojo MMA show. I'm your host, Mo, with my co-host, Joe. And today we're going to break down UFC 299 preview and predictions. I'm excited about this one. This is like the most excited I've been for a card in a very, very long time.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of fight of the year candidates on this one, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Like from the bottom of the main card and a bunch of prelims as well. This is the most stacked main card that we've had in a long time.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll go ahead and get right into it, right to the main event. UFC Bantamweight Championship bout. We have champion Sean O'Malley, which sucks to say, with a rematch against Marlon Chito Vera. It's going to be a rematch from UFC 252 back in August of 2020. Doesn't feel like it was that long ago, but Vera won by first round TKO. There was a lot of controversy about that first fight. A lot of people thought, oh, if O'Malley kept it going, but I mean, the way I thought it ended, I thought Chito earned that win.
Yeah, I thought you'd bring that up since your last rant you had about Vera knocking him out with the elbow strikes on the ground. Yeah, this fight's crazy to look at because Sean O'Malley, people don't see him as the champ really that much, even though he knocked out Aljamain Sterling pretty easily in the second round. And Marlon Vera doesn't really seem to have earned the title shot over Merab or Corey Sandhagen. So that fight doesn't really make that much sense, to be honest. But, I mean, overall, I'll let you go first.
I think styles make fights, and I understand why this fight happened. Like, just the way the first one happened, he's the only person to beat Sean O'Malley, and it's just a good one. I mean, Merab is weighing in as the backup fighter. It's one thing to note. So if anything happens, we're going to have a new champ. But, yeah, to break down this fight, Sean O'Malley, basically, his striking is phenomenal, right? He has an unorthodox style, and, I mean, he just knocked out one champion who has another unorthodox style. But yeah, this guy's sharp, he's fast, he's long, he's like everything you want in a striker. But he's going against Chito Vera, who's very well rounded. He can grapple, he can wrestle, and he can strike, and he has some vicious kicks. I think he has the most knockouts in bantamweight history, which is one thing to note. I mean, I think one way we can look at betting this fight is for it not to go to the cards.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, so the keys to victory for Sean O'Malley, of course, utilizing the range. That's what he does so well, and he gets people at the end of his punches. He has to keep everything diverse, though, because Chito, I feel that he picks up as the fight goes on, as we've seen multiple times with him versus Rob Font, him versus, not Sandhagen. But we've seen it multiple times how he just picks up as the fight goes on. So I think Sean O'Malley needs to get him out of there pretty quickly and just while he's not tired, keep him at the end of his punches and set up the knockout with the jab. For Vera, though, I think he needs to close the distance, get a lot of grappling exchanges, and capitalize on Sean O'Malley's weak ground game. But I mean, we saw in the first fight, regardless of how they got to that position with Chito on top, he was raining elbows, and like there was nothing Sean O'Malley could do. Everything he was throwing down was landing. And yeah, one thing to note, sorry, I know I'm the biggest fucking Sean O'Malley hater, is as soon as like elbows were coming through and as soon as the fight ends, this motherfucker grabs his fucking ankle or whatever, and it's like, oh, come on, you just got knocked out, dude. Okay, but yeah, I broke it down. Now I'll let you break some down and give your prediction, and I'll give mine.
Yeah, so one thing about that is Chito Vera. Chito Vera's calf kicks are crazy good. That's the biggest thing I seen when I went back and watched their fight, because everyone was saying like Sean O'Malley has weak calves and everything. You just got to target his calf. But honestly, you really do, because Sean O'Malley is very susceptible to calf kicks. And another thing to note is Sean O'Malley's takedown defense versus Aljo. It looked amazing. So I don't think that the threat is going to come from a takedown from Chito Vera. Especially, I don't think Chito Vera wants to take that route anyways. I think Chito Vera, if he wants to win this fight, I think he's got to keep it on the feet. And everyone knows that Chito Vera most likely he's going to take off the first or second round. And I don't think Chito Vera has ever been knocked out. So that was the hardest thing to break down or to find holes in his game, because Sean O'Malley is more susceptible to knocking him out early, but Chito Vera has never been knocked out, and Chito Vera is in probably the best shape of his life, as he always is. So that's another thing to note. But this fight was super. It wasn't really that hard for me to break down. Honestly, the first thought that came to my mind was Sean O'Malley by decision, and then Chito Vera never being knocked out. That kind of confirmed it for me. But the thing is you go back and you watch the rounds 4 and 5 of Chito Vera's fights, or rounds 2 and 3, I guess the later rounds of all of his fights. He picks it up so much. But I just don't see him being able to get within range to implement anything but his calf kick. So literally, I think his key to victory is to implement the calf kick very early, get Sean O'Malley's calf hurt, back him up, and then land his big shots. But before that even happens, I think Sean O'Malley is just going to pick him apart, similar to the Jeff Neal, Ian Gary fight. I hate to say it. I hate to compare it to that. But, I mean, I think it's going to be similar to that fight. I definitely think Sean O'Malley's going to take it. I don't think we're going to see a knockout. And if we do see a knockout, it's going to be like a fluke type of knockout, like a leg kick knockout. Even though even Sean O'Malley knows that everyone thinks that he's got weak calves. I just think that it's not that he has weak calves. I think Chito Vera's calf kicks are just that good.
Yeah, one thing to note, though, is I don't think Aljamain Sterling has the best wrestling. I think he's a phenomenal grappler, but I don't think his wrestling is that good. So I think Cheetos is probably even on the level of Aljamain Sterling's. Another thing is Sean O'Malley, his whole UFC career, he's had a couple fights that his legs are weak, dude. They are. We saw them give out in that Cheeto fight, whatever it was that happened, and then we also saw it in the Andre Sukumtop fight. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, where he won the fight off his back.
That's insane.
The dude was like, "All right, we're going on the ground now.
Yeah,
Let's get this loss real quick."
That was the lowest fucking UFC IQ ever. Like, literally, Sean O'Malley would have 2 losses if that guy would just fucking keep it standing. Anyways, back to the topic. I honestly think Chito Vera is going to be able to knock his legs down with those kicks, because this motherfucker throws vicious kicks. We saw him in a couple knockouts that he's had with Dominic Cruz or Frankie Edgar. This motherfucker throws with bad intentions. So I do think that Cheeto's going to be the new champ here, and he's going to get mauled by Merab shortly after. Yeah,
I mean, Merab's the champ to be. Everyone knows that, but I just don't think Chito Vera is going to be able to even get close enough to Sean to implement any of his strikes. Because a lot of his fights, he does the best whenever people come to him. Like the Pedro Munoz fight, even though I hated that fight, I rewatched it, and Pedro Munoz, every time he came in, he land like 4 or 5 shots, and then Chito would hit him like 1 or 2 times. Similar to the Rob Font fight, where he hit him like 1 or 2 times, and Rob Font outlanded him every single time they met. He lands 1 or 2 strikes and floors everyone. I just don't think Sean O'Malley's going to come in and give him an opportunity to even get close to doing any of that. I think it's going to be a frustrating fight for him. I think it's going to be probably a frustrating fight for the fans too, because Chito Vera is not going to get knocked out, and Sean O'Malley likely won't get within range to get knocked out. So I think it's going to be kind of a safe, kind of boring fight, because I don't think Sean's going to bring much of a brawl to Chito, and Chito's definitely not the type to come in and attack. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm predicting a pretty boring-ish fight, but a decision win by Sean O'Malley. I'm hoping for the knockout. I'd like to see a knockout, obviously, by Sean, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think you brought up a good point there, that this can either be a fight that's filled with fireworks, or this could be the boringest fight ever. One thing that sucks to see is a counter striker who's not being active, and here we have 2 counter strikers, and yeah, hopefully it's not boring. They both have phenomenal power, so I'm hoping it's a good fight.
Yeah.
And now we transition to the co-main event, which this might as well be another BMF title defense, because these motherfuckers, they're coming to bang. This fight's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I think the biggest topic of this fight is that Dustin Poirier has never lost 2 fights in a row, and you always see like these new guys up and coming, like Benoit Saint Denis. You see like people like him come up, and they either win these type of fights, or most of the time, I think you see them lose these fights. Like I don't know though, it's so hard to say with this one.
That's what happens. They usually win or lose.
Well, I know, but normally, I mean, I'll just give my breakdown of it. So Dustin Poirier, his shot selection and his utility or his weapons. He has way more weapons than Benoit Saint Denis has. He has his elbows. He has his boxing, excellent boxing, great wrestling, good wrestling defense, great jiu-jitsu. And then a thing I noticed about Benoit Saint Denis is that whenever he fights, like the Matt Favola fight, whenever he comes in, he's coming in to land his big haymakers, and then he's shooting a takedown once he doesn't. If nothing lands, or he'll hit, and he'll land, and he'll shoot the takedown even if he's got him rocked, and then he'll finish him on the ground, or he'll notice that they're rocked or finish him because he's a finisher. But he comes in kind of almost like Chandler. I think this fight's going to be similar to the Chandler fight, except I think Michael Chandler has better wrestling than Benoit Saint Denis. I think BSD is definitely a more lethal fighter than the Chandler fight for Dustin Poirier. But I think with Poirier's mix of skills, I think he's going to get it done, and I think he's going to make it look. I don't want to say he's going to make it look easy, but I think he's going to get a finish, and I mean, whatever Dustin Poirier wants to finish him with is what we're going to see. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was a submission or a knockout. But a thing that I saw on DraftKings was that Dustin Poirier by submission is plus 1,000. So you see Benoit Saint Denis come in, miss those strikes, because obviously Dustin's got the good head movement. He's got excellent head movement. And you always seem to see Dustin get walked down into the corner, kind of into the cage, and then uses head movement, and then someone shoots on him. And the Khabib fight, he got him in the guillotine, and that was probably the closest Khabib's ever been to being finished. So I wouldn't be surprised if we seen something like that happen, but like a sloppy takedown and then a Darce choke or a guillotine, something like that. So the way I'm looking at this one is Dustin Poirier by submission.
Yeah, I think when you look at this fight, you have two very well-rounded fighters. I mean, grappling, wrestling, striking, like both of these guys have it all. One thing to note is Poirier's one of the best boxers in the UFC. Like, he has some of the best striking abilities. And another thing to note is Dustin Poirier's been fighting the elite of the elite for years and years and years now. While BSD's been, finding his way up. He had that close fight it was at welterweight. It was versus. Remind me, who was it?
Are you talking about the fight he lost?
No, he won that fight.
I know he lost, I think, his first fight in the UFC to the dude that beats literally everyone, Dos Santos. But
no, he won that fight.
The Dos Santos fight?
No, you're right. He did lose that fight, and that was at welterweight. Yeah. Yes, my bad. Yeah, he did lose. Yeah, and then but one thing to know is that was up at welterweight and his first fight in the UFC. Yeah. But I think Denis I think his path to victory here is getting Poirier down, and implementing some ground control to avoid Poirier striking and his strikes from the bottom or top, and find a way to ground and pound him out. But like you said, Poirier has a nasty guillotine, and so if he's gonna try to take him down against the fence, that's one thing to look out for.
Yeah, I'm betting that. I'm betting that all the way. I think that's what's gonna happen.
I think that's very possible. But I mean, this is a good one. This fight can end any way: submission both ways, knockout both ways. And I was seeing on social media that a lot of people think Dustin Poirier is just like at the end of his career, and that he's already given up, and he's like, I'm fighting a young bull, and that he's having trouble trying to find some motivation to fight and stuff. Yeah. And another thing is that contract situation. Do you remember it was signed, and then Poirier was going on Twitter talking about it's not signed, and then so I don't know if Poirier's scared. I'm still gonna go with Poirier. I'm gonna take him by finish. I'm gonna say TKO KO. And I don't think there's a way for this fight not to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, Benoit Saint Denis definitely comes to kill every single time. He looks for the finish. You've never seen Dustin be in a boring fight where he's just looking to stay on the outside and just jab his way to a victory, even though he could most of the time. Like the Gaethje fight,
Right.
like I like Gaethje and him. I wanted Gaethje to win because I think he has a better chance of beating Islam. But if you go back and watch that fight was a lot closer than what everyone imagined. Or if everyone thinks that Dustin Poirier is on the end of his career, that fight was really close. And Gaethje has got the best hands in the lightweight division. So that fight definitely, if anything, helps Dustin's case for winning this fight by knockout.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely gonna be a fun one. All right, now we get to maybe the funnest fight on the fucking card, the entire card. Kevin Holland versus Michael Venom Page. This is a huge one. We're finally getting MVP in the UFC. I think he had 18 fights fighting for Bellator, so that guy's been over there for a long time. And his record, really good, 16-2. His only 2 losses coming in championship fights. And I mean, this is a good one. This is Kung Fu versus Karate. This is unorthodox versus unorthodox. This is kill or be killed. I'm very excited for this one.
Yeah, the only thing I'm nervous about is that their two styles don't match up well, and then it ends up being like a decision fight, like kind of a point fight where they're just talking shit the whole time, and then it ends up coming down to a decision. I watched so many fights of both of theirs, and I've watched all of Kevin Holland's UFC fights. I haven't watched all of Michael Venom Page's fights, but I mean, even if you were to watch all of his fights, there's no fucking way you can predict how this fight is gonna go in my head. Because you see, but I mean, one thing is the element of surprise, I guess. Like when Kevin Holland got hit with a surprise fucking headbutt from Chris Dawkins.
Chris Dawkins,
Kyle
yes.
Dawkins,
Which I think it was Kyle.
a little brother, yeah. Chris Dawkins' little brother. That's what I was going to say. He got hit with that headbutt, and you saw him get rocked, and they get choked out. But I mean, the only thing I can think that to bet on this fight the only way I'm leaning on this fight is Kevin Holland because the UFC is better than Bellator. But I have no clue how this fight's going to go. And the most recent fight we had from Michael Venom Page was the Mike Perry fight. And I mean, you've seen how
he won.
It was a very close fight. I think they just wanted Mike Perry. They had to have Mike Perry win that fight. But I mean, that third round, he did get caught a lot. And Kevin Holland's last fight was against Jack Della Maddalena.
Yeah.
And that fight was a difficult fight for him because they both were kind of rangy type fighters. Kevin Holland kind of was picking him apart from the outside. But this fight with Michael Venom Page, I have no fucking clue how it's going to go. If I were to bet it, though, I would say that this fight is going to end by knockout. One of the two ways. I'd probably lean towards Kevin Holland, though.
Right, we've seen both of these guys get rocked, so it's fucking possible. And both of these guys have knockout power. But MVP is I can say, absolute favorite fighter not in the UFC. This guy is a fucking showman. This guy is like, he's gonna bring a crowd, and I guarantee he's gonna have a huge fan base after this fight.
Yeah.
Like, his knockouts are amazing. His showboating is amazing. And then that's one thing about Kevin Holland. They call him Big Mouth because he's always in there running his mouth trying to make the fight entertaining. Like we saw with him in the Wonder Boy fight. You know, he's there to entertain. He's not there to fucking win fights. And so with this, I guess I'm betting with my heart, and I really just want MVP to win. Like, I've been waiting for this guy to come to the UFC. Too bad it's when he's 30. How old is he? 38 years old?
I think he's 36.
36 years old. Yeah. So too bad it's when he's on the older side. But I mean, this guy, I'm hoping maybe like a knee up the middle type knockout.
Yeah, I don't even know how the hell he's gonna get a knee up the middle on Kevin Holland's tall ass. Yeah, but another thing is Kevin Holland has never really even been in a fight where he's been outstruck on the feet and not gotten taken down. Like, there's no risk of a takedown, I think, with Michael Venom Page. I don't think he's going to worry about that. So with that being said, it's going to be a Kevin Holland Wonderboy fight all over again. And Kevin Holland's definitely improved, and he's at a lower weight class now. So
Yeah, I mean, we saw how he did versus Karate. Got his ass whooped, so I think it's going to happen again.
yeah.
And then we're 4 fights deep into the main card, and bang, another fucking possible co-main event or headliner on a UFC fight night. Gilbert Burns versus JDM, Jack Della Maddalena. And this one's going to be the second welterweight clash on the main card. And I mean, these two guys come to bang. I'm so excited for this one. I think this one's going to be a striking war. I don't think Gilbert's not the type of fighter to come and try to force takedowns, and you know, he's an amazing grappler, but he can also strike. We saw in the Khamzat Chimaev fight. And this one's fun.
Yeah, I think the difference between the two of these guys is their footwork and their speed and how they put their punches together. So Gilbert Burns, if you go back and watch all of his like best punches in the UFC, all of his best fights, like the punch where he landed on Kamaru Usman, it was just a one punch. He throws like 1-2s. It's all jabs or hooks. He doesn't really put together much combinations. And on the other hand, Jack Della Maddalena, his biggest plus, the biggest strong point. His biggest strong point is his combinations. His combinations are probably the best I've ever seen in the at least in the welterweights. His combinations, he mixes it up so well to the body. And Gilbert Burns often leaves his body open a lot. And I think that's where the difference in this fight's going to come, is I think Jack Della Maddalena is going to hit him in the body, get him hurt in the earlier rounds, going into the second. I think this fight should have been a 5-round fight so we could see what really would play out. But a 3-round fight is going to be a war between these two. And I think Jack Della Maddalena, in his body work, his striking, his wrestling defense. He has very good wrestling defense and wrestling offense. So most of the time he ends up on his back. He somehow ends up on top anyways. But I think this fight is definitely going to favor Jack Della Maddalena with his just extending his combinations over Burns' big ol' 1-2 punches and big looping strikes. And I don't think if anyone shoots a takedown, I think it's going to be Gilbert Burns, because he's going to be hurt on the feet from the body shots. In his last fight out, Gilbert Burns fought Bilal Muhammad. That was his last fight, correct?
No, I think his last fight was George Masvidal, wasn't it?
I think that one was before. I don't know. I think that was before, right?
You're right. It was literally less than a month before.
Yeah, they happened fast. So the Masvidal fight, he looked great. But, I mean, against the Masvidal that, if you go back and watch it, Masvidal was doing good in the first round, and then the later rounds, he just started, his reflexes were a little slower. So he was just barely getting caught on the end of Gilbert's big old looping punches. And then it ended up paying off in the long run. Especially, he uses takedowns in that fight, too. To wear him down, so it just kind of slowed down Masvidal. But then the Bilal Muhammad fight, that fight was a different fight. He got his ass. He got dominated that fight. He got dominated on the feet too. I mean, he landed some good strikes here and there, but he was hurt, so it's hard to say how this fight's gonna go. But I definitely would 100% lean towards Jack Della Maddalena.
I think one thing to note about this card is where we have a couple of differences. I mean, we have we're 4th fight in, and we have 3 different predictions. On this one, I'm definitely leaning Gilbert Burns. I mean, if his striking doesn't get it done, he can always rely on the wrestling. I honestly think he's gonna grind him out with punches and then take him down and then just tire him out and just probably not finish him. But I definitely think he'll get the decision win, especially in a 3-round fight. I think it leans heavy towards Gilbert Burns.
Yeah, I think everyone's giving too much credit for the Khamzat fight. I think Khamzat might have been sick or something that fight. I think that it was a very good fight, but this fight is going to be I don't think it's going to be anywhere similar to that. Jack Della Maddalena has better defense. He has better combinations, better striking, crisper. He's faster. He has better head movement. I I I really think that Jack Dilla Maddalena gets a finish on this one.
Yeah, I think we can definitely make a wager.
All right, we'll figure one out.
No, we can figure it out right now. Next, we'll do the next podcast. We'll chug a beer. Loser chugs a beer.
All right,
Actually,
but
go ahead.
is it just winner? Because I'm pretty sure this fight is the odds are pretty close. Or does he have to win by knockout?
No, I'm good with it. Just straight winner.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure Jack Dilla Maddalena is gonna knock his ass out anyway. So
I fucking doubt it. All right. Now we go to the last fight, the first fight on the main card, which is Song Yadong, who's fighting a really good win streak against Peter Yan, who's on the worst streak of his career.
Yeah. Yeah, this fight's. I think that this fight, being the first fight on the card, might be a mistake because after everyone sees this fight, they're gonna expect all the fights to look like these two bantamweights ready to kill each other. Because Petr Yan's been out. I feel like he's been out over a year or close to a year. With it from his last fight with was his last fight Merab?
Yeah, his last fight was Merab.
Yeah, that fight's a terrible fight to base his last performance off of because Merab can kill anyone in the UFC right now. I would bet Merab to beat John Jones right now. So, no, I'm just kidding. That fight is. This fight was pretty hard for me to judge, but I mean, Song Yadong, his power and his speed make up for his sloppy kind of shots or his punches. His speed is like no other person in the bantamweight division. I don't think there's anyone that's close to as fast as him. His power is insane. He's just recently started improving on his wrestling. I mean, at first glance, I wanted to bet with my heart on this one and say Petr Yan because he has to have had made the adjustments to come back and win this fight. But this is a terrible fight to come back to against Song Yadong. And the fact that it's a 3-round fight is even worse. I think if it was a 5-round fight, even though Song Yadong has maybe better cardio, I think it would definitely favor Petr Yan then. But this being a 3-round fight is going to be very hard for Petr Yan to get the nod on this one. I don't think either of these guys can knock each other. I mean, they're definitely capable of knocking each other out. But I mean, if I have to bet with my mind, I would have to say Song Yadong by decision. But this one, I made a special note for this one. The only way I would bet this fight is the winner to win by split decision or majority decision. Because the odds for either of them to win by knockout is like it's shit, and then the odds for either of them to win the fight is not very good. But the odds for the fight to end by split decision are very good. And Petr Yan normally takes the first round off, kinda, and then Song Yadong picks it up the first round, and then Petr Yan picks it up the second round. Song Yadong kind of carries the same pace, but I think if Petr Yan gets some reads the first round, takes a loss the first, comes back the second, and then the third's a war, I think we're going to see a split decision on this fight. And I hate that this fight is a 3-round fight. I really wish this fight was a 5-round fight too, because these guys definitely could go 5 rounds and make it a very more a much more interesting fight.
Yeah, this is definitely a good fucking fight because we see Yan and it's just terrible luck, terrible. I don't know. He loses the Aljo fight by this DQ, and then he gets beat by Aljo fair and square, and then he loses controversial to Sean O'Malley. What do you think it was controversial, that fight?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Yeah, I know a lot of people thought he won, and then he runs into the fucking machine, Marab, the fucking champ, just waiting for his belt, and it's just like a terrible streak. But he's still Petr Yan. He's still former UFC bantamweight champion. He's still a fucking amazing fucking striker. And then he's coming here with Song Yadong, who's also been an amazing striker, and he's on the exact opposite. He's on a fucking hot streak. He beat Ricky Simone, who, I mean, if you know, you know. Same thing with Chris Gutierrez. Like, both of these guys are both up and coming, and he just got rid of both of them. And and pretty easily too. And so this fight, I'm expecting a fucking clash. Like, But
Yeah.
I really don't know what to think. I'm gonna lean Peter Yan just based off of championship experience and what he's shown in the past. Song Yadong does have wins over Chito Vera and Casey Kenny. And yeah, I mean, he has very notable wins. Marlon Moraes, I'm pretty sure he retired. No, he did send him into retirement.
Yeah.
Then he came back, and I'm pretty sure he's retired again. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'll take Peter Yan by, I will say KO.
I mean, that's I have it written down in my notes. Peter Yan by KO, betting with my heart, and then Song Yadong by split decision. I really hope that I'm wrong. I hope that Song Yadong goes out there and drops his hands, because if you watch his fights, he drops his hands a lot because he just like drops them and then throws those huge power hooks. And Peter Yan is very good at putting together combinations, and he's very good at making reads. Like the Sean O'Malley fight, whenever Sean O'Malley did that little punch and then bam, and then dropped him, and then he did the same thing right back except harder and dropped O'Malley. So he makes very good reads, and my only hope is that he can kind of coast out the first round, and then the second round and third round pick up on some things, and then drop his ass.
When did you become such a
Peter
Peter
Yan
Yan fan?
I thought whenever Peter Yan beat Aldo the way he did, I thought he was going to be the GOAT. I thought there was going to be no one that could ever touch him. And then he went and beat the hell out of Aljamain Sterling, and then Aljamain set his hand on the ground and got
Free
bumped in the head or whatever happened there. And then Marab is a fucking freak of nature. We got to get that guy out of the UFC. But or we got to bump him up to the middleweight division. We got to bump Marab up to a division that needs some fire.
Welterweight?
Yeah. Make him fight Colby Covington. That'd be fucking crazy.
Oh, that'd be a good fight.
I think that would actually be a close fight.
I'd have him by knockout.
That's actually crazy to think about. Like, I always thought Cejudo could go up back in his prime.
Maybe
and fight like Holloway or someone, maybe, if they got the takedown. But like 4 years ago, the Cejudo that knocked out TJ Dillashaw and Dominic Cruz.
Just TJ Dillashaw. Anyways, I do want to go over one more fight, at least. Curtis Blades versus Jailton Almeida. Almeida's on a fucking hot streak. He's just been handling people. But what's gonna happen now that he runs into a beast like Curtis Blades, who has fucking amazing elbows, great wrestling, and pretty good striking?
He get knocked out. That's what I hope. This fight. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I sure hope so. I fucking love Curtis Blades. Curtis Blades is one of my favorite fighters in the UFC.
Yeah, this fight favors him too. It's a 3-round fight, so and it's gonna be hard as hell for Jailton to take down his big ass. Am I tripping, or does Jailton weigh like 230 or 240?
I don't think so. I think he's fucking
his weight on the thing says 205. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure.
Hold on. Yeah, I am seeing that he's way lighter. I see him at 236 here, and this is his fighting style's boxing cap.
Yeah, what the hell? You see his last fight? I think I fell asleep 3 times his last fight. Yeah, this fight. Oh my god! I hope, since they're both wrestlers, always happens, and there's not a better wrestler, so they just take it out on the feet.
Yeah.
And Curtis Blades got some heavy hands. So, Jailton Almeida's last fight was Derek Lewis.
Yeah.
Derek Lewis had some good moments in that fight too.
Yeah, Derek Lewis needs to retire.
Yeah, so hopefully this fight stays on the feet. We get to see a good fight for Curtis Blades. We get to see him get a knockout, get right up next to that heavyweight gold, and then win.
Yeah, I would love for Curtis Blades to become champ.
Yeah. He always gets right there, and then he takes the worst fight ever.
Right,
he gets right there, and then he fights Derek Lewis and gets flatlined.
Oh,
he gets a brand.
That was the same night as Sterling Yan won.
Yeah.
Gilbert Burns also fought in that card too. These fuckers like fighting on the same card. He fought Usman on that card, no?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, he gets right there, and then he fights the brand new Ngannou, and then gets knocked out. Then he gets all the way back, climbs all the way back up, and then he gets a Derek Lewis, gets knocked out. Fucking finds his way back to Ngannou. I don't know if it's in that
Yeah,
order.
Ngannou again. Yeah.
Yeah, I hate that for him. And then probably Sergey Pavlovich
Yeah.
gets all the way
Exactly.
back up there, and then
And
there's
those are
one
his
guy you
those
don't
are
fight.
his only 4 losses too.
There's one guy you don't fight if you get up to fucking top 5 guys, and it's Sergey Pavlovich.
Yeah.
First thing you do, oh, I'm gonna fight that guy.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, everyone else is skipping.
Oh.
Just give me that. And shit,
Yeah.
if he would win, he probably would fucking be fighting for the title. But those are fucking impossible fucking fights.
Yeah.
This one,
Yeah.
I definitely think he has a chance.
What about your favorite fighter, Macy Barber? And
Oh
Caitlin?
yes. Hey, she's not Chukagian anymore. She's married, pal.
Oh my
I don't
man.
know her new name, but it's also. Oh, look, there it is. It's Sir Minara. I don't know. They'll say it tomorrow, and I'll memorize it. But that's a pivotal matchup in the flyweight division. Caitlin's coming back because I don't know if you heard, but some sad stuff. She retired to be a mother, and then she had a few miscarriages, and so she says she's coming back to fight and to take her mind off of that.
Oh shit.
Yeah, but I mean, we've seen Chukagian's been at the top, or we'll just call her Caitlin, has been at the top of that division for a long time, and Macy Barber was supposed to be the next big thing, fucking youngest champ ever, supposedly, but that didn't play out. We'll see. I don't know. I think Macy Barber is going to end up with 500 punches thrown, 13 landed.
How much landed? You said.
13.
Okay. Yeah. Every time I think of her, every time I see her now, I just think of the Alexa Grasso fight. Whenever she fought the imaginary person,
The person in
throwing
between
combos.
them.
She was like backing up, throwing combos, and Alexa Grasso was just standing there while she was fighting her own demons. That was pretty messed up. I feel bad for her.
Yeah,
Oh, one fight I wanted to point out on here was Pedro Munoz versus Kyler Phillips.
that's a good one.
Pedro Munoz is a plus 180 underdog. I would definitely take that underdog. I would take him in that fight for sure. Just because he's looked good consistently over time. He has good boxing. He has good wrestling. He's good everywhere. He's just not the best in any one thing. I would definitely take him as an underdog. Pair him up with what was the knockout parlay I had with me? Who's the knockout I had? Oh, Jack Della Maddalena by knockout.
Sure. I mean, those can both happen. But one thing about this fight is Pedro's already fucking 37. This guy's been fighting for fucking ever. And Kyler Phillips, in his last 6, and his only 6 fights in the UFC, he's gone 5-1, and his only loss was to Song Yadong. So
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a good fight. And this is early on the prelims. And then we also, just to throw out some notable names on this card, Ian Kutelaba versus Felipe Lins. Michel Pereira versus Michael Olachechek. Josh Parisian's fighting on this card. I don't know if you love him or hate him. I'm pretty sure you hate him. CJ Vergara, do you remember his last fight?
I don't know.
I can't remember the guy he was fighting. It's a blonde Brazilian. But do you remember like that fight where that guy was like running away? And he was just like circling the cage the whole time?
No.
Oh, okay. Anyways, yeah. And I'm pretty sure Joanne.
Every time I think of the fight that was fighter running away was the Nate Diaz Army girl. What was her name? Shit. You remember what I'm talking about? Where she took off full sprinting?
Yeah, towards the camera.
Yeah, that was the best one I've ever seen.
But this is a good one in Miami. It's been a long time since they came to Miami, but I mean Miami always delivers. I think it's gonna be a fucking good fucking card.
Put a parlay together then. Who's your favorite 2, 3 parlays?
So the fights I'm most confident in on this card is gonna be oof. Yeah, probably no main card fights I'd fucking put on there.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. If I were
These are all. I think they're all so closely matched. Sean O'Malley, Marlon Vera. I mean, I'm pretty sure Sean O'Malley's the favorite, even though he lost the first fight, which makes it close. Dustin Poirier, one of the best fighters in the UFC. I'm pretty sure is he still ranked in the? I don't. Maybe after the Gaethje knockout, he's not pound for pound anymore. But also, wait. Now that we're talking about this, do you see that Benoit Saint Denis has a fucking like a staph infection scar right here? It looks like a wound. Yeah, like an open wound right here. It's like a pimple with fucking no inside. That's one thing. So maybe he's on antibiotics. I saw it was actually the guy behind me, Renato Moicano. He tweeted. He's funny as fuck. He tweeted. He was like, "Do you see this staph infection? Is he on antibiotics? Is this gonna change the fight?" And just like fucking talking like a reporter, like this motherfucker understands English.
Yeah. Dustin Poirier is a very good pick on this card. If you were to put him in a parlay, I would put him in a parlay by submission, get that plus 1,000. I'm pretty confident. I'm fairly confident in the submission, the chance of a submission in that fight.
Yeah, I think that's highly likely. But yeah, like literally looking at this card, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, Chito Vera. But then I'm like, Sean O'Malley. Same thing, Dustin Poirier, and then he's fighting BSD. Michael Venom Page, but then he's fighting Kevin Holland. You know, like this main card's gonna be one for the fucking books. I hope.
Petr Yan versus Song Yadong. Who's gonna be the fight of the night? Who do you think's gonna get fight of the night? Because there's five fights on here that are possible to be fight of the year.
Yeah, so I think fight of the night is gonna go to Petr Yan versus Song Yadong.
Yeah, me too.
Knockout of the night is gonna go to Michael Venom Page, and another performance bonus is gonna go to Dustin Poirier.
Yeah, I mean I like most of that, except for the 5-round decision that's gonna have in the main event.
Yeah, I really felt so confident in a knockout just from both of their abilities, but now that you brought that up, it might be the fucking most boring title fight ever.
Yeah, and then Jack Della Maddalena knockout of the night or knockout of the year probably. Body shot, headshot, dead. Dustin Poirier submission. He'll get a performance bonus. But I think fight of the night is gonna be the main card opener for sure. Petr Yan versus Song Yadong. They're gonna throw down.
Yeah, fucking fun card. You have anything else?
No.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. If you fucking made it this far, which I fucking doubt anybody fucking did. It's a fucking long ass episode. But if you did, make sure you fucking like. I don't know how the fuck we're getting a couple fucking tens of views and no fucking likes. Like, what the fuck is that? Fucking like it if you're fucking there. It's not gonna show up in your fucking history or nothing. Just fucking like it. Nobody else is gonna see it. Just like it. You feel what I'm saying? Okay, that's all I have to say. All right. Another fun episode, Joe. We'll catch you on the next one.
All right.